In March next year, the nuclear-powered submarine task force is due to hand findings to government from an 18-month study examining the best options for Australia's future fleet. Asked if he believed the task force would simply decide between a British Astute-class boat or an American Virginia-class submarine. Australian submariners will train onboard British nuclear-powered submarines for the first time in the latest announcement under the AUKUS security pact. Under the deal, Royal Australian Navy's sailors will join their British counterparts on the Astute-class submarines after completing specialised nuclear training courses. Royal Australian Navy submariners will train with British Royal Navy counterparts on nuclear-powered subsAustralia will be provided with its own nuclear-powered submarines under. The AUKUS AgreementDefence figures have warned Australia is facing a capability gap because of aging submarines. The AMS Onisun is the fifth submarine of its type to be built, is 97 meters long and has a £1.3 billion (2.2 billion Australian dollars) price tag, significant milestone in the UK and Australia's preparation to confront growing threats to the liberal democratic order, especially in the Indo-Pacific. Australia would buy nuclear submarines from the United States by the middle of the next decade to give it more time to be able to build the boats on shore under a plan being considered by the Albanese government. There has been growing concern that Australia will not be able to build nuclear-powered submarines until the 2040s, despite the previous government insisting it could do it by 2036 under the AUKUS Defence Pact with the US and Britain. Western officials told the publication that the idea was to provide Australia with an initial nuclear-powered fleet by the mid-2030s while continuing the longer-term effort to help the country build up the industrial base to build nuclear submarines. The move would come with political consequences, with workers in South Australia and the union movement likely to be unhappy with any move to build the first few submarines in the US. Multiple Australian government sources insisted no decision had been made and all options were still on the table, including a small, stopgap conventional fleet of submarines. The US is discussing accelerating the production of nuclear submarines to bolster Australia's defense capabilities in an effort to counter China's growing military influence in the Asia-Pacific region, the Wall Street Journal reported. Under the plan, the US would provide Australia with the first few nuclear subs by mid-2030s to tide Australia over as it continues to develop its own production capabilities, the newspaper said, citing Western officials. The proposal not yet approved is one of several being considered as a means of more quickly securing a nuclear-powered fleet for Australia, according to the report. Australia, the US and the UK forged an alliance last year to deepen defense ties and increase sharing of intelligence and technology as competition from China increases in the Asia-Pacific region. Under the pact, the UK and the US agreed to help Australia build and operate its own fleet of nuclear-propelled submarines by 2040, expanding its military reach. In a statement on Saturday, the alliance members reaffirmed a commitment to Australia acquiring this capability at the earliest possible date. Australia confirmed last week that it would build up its industrial base and skilled workforce to help construct and maintain a future fleet of nuclear-powered submarines. The Collins-class submarines are a class of 6 diesel-electric-powered submarines built and operated by the Royal Australian Navy. The Collins class is named after Vice Admiral John Augustine Collins. All 6 submarines were named after important and famous members of the Royal Australian Navy during World War II. This submarine is now the largest conventional submarine in the world, and being the first submarine built in Australia, indirectly led to an increase in Australian industry. The submarine was marred by various incidents and technical problems during its construction phase, including allegations of deception and bias during design selection, improper conversions during construction, and weaknesses in terms of the main capabilities of a submarine. This problem was compounded by the Royal Australian Navy's failure to provide personnel to man the ships. In 2008, only 3 submarines of this type could be operated, while between the years 2009 to 2012 an average of 2 units or less were fully operational. The poor performance in the management of the Collins-class submarine caused it to get a negative perception by the public. However, Collins-class submarines are expected to be decommissioned in 2026. However, the Defense White Paper issued in 2016 agreed that their service should be extended until 2030. Submarines of this class will also be upgraded in terms of their capabilities, including communication and sonar.